I want to go.
We are live. What's up, guys?
Hey. All right, let's
Come on, we're gonna retweet it.
Oh yeah, good call. Good call. All right. Should we start?
Yes.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Turp Parks, James Seltzer, the Bet Parks Picks Pod with some Eagles talk as well, because there's a lot of Eagles talk. We'll get into the tournament later.
Busy. Talk
some gambling at some point, but obviously we got to get into all the news that's been happening. I haven't slept in 2 days.
Nice.
Dog's been sick. I'm so tired. Elliot's going to carry this pod, just so everyone knows.
Well,
so
what else?
There you go. You're right. That's correct. The pressure's on for you today, buddy. All right. Tons to get into since we last talked. Since we last spoke on the pod, they've signed Rashad Penny. They obviously had the Darius Slay drama from yesterday, and then Fletcher Cox back as well. Do you want to take it one by one? Do you want to give your macro thoughts?
Yeah. I guess the macro thought would be I would give this offseason an A+.
I think it's
so far
outstanding.
I think it couldn't be going better in a lot of ways. Look, Hargrave leaving, not
always going to
not
happen.
ideal.
It's always going to happen. $21 million a year.
He got a ton of money.
It just is
right?
what it is. Like there was a 0%. The way it played out with the market, there was a 0% chance that Javon Hargrave was going to
right. And here's what I would say. And understandably, a lot of people are really excited about this offseason among the fan base, and they should be. It's been a great offseason. But there's also a lot of bring Chauncey back, and we'll get into that. My thing would be this: we all agree Howie's a great general manager, right? The whole thing is let Howie cook, how he normally cooks, which is lines in the outside of the field, the corners, the receivers, the defensive line, the offensive line. Those are the positions that they valued so far. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, right? I understand. And Jason Kelsey, yeah. So I understand the excitement around Chauncey and everything. But ultimately, when I look at what they've done this offseason so far, they're going to bring back, obviously Jalen Ramsey going to Miami complicates the discussion. But they're going to bring back probably the best cornerback duo in the NFL. They're going to have the best receiving duo in the NFL. They have the edge rushers from last year. Kelsey's back. Fletcher Cox, there's mixed opinions on him out there because people are going to feel he's overpaid. I don't think he's overpaid.
I think it's what the market.
What the market dictates.
If anything, he's $1 million or $2 million, maybe like 8, 9. You could say was what was hopeful.
And it's not a huge difference. That's more an emotional difference.
He's going to be tied for the 23rd highest paid defensive tackle. That's probably what he should be. And look, we saw what the market is. Javon Hargrave got $21 million.
And last year, according to Pro Football Focus, I think there was only 5 or 6 defensive tackles in the whole league that had more sacks. If Fletcher Cox played for another team last year, and the Eagles signed yesterday a defensive tackle that was top 10 in the league in sacks, that had a Hall of Fame career, arguably, people would be like, what a great signing by Howie, right? The fact that people, for some reason, just have a grudge against Fletcher at this point.
Well, look.
Not a grudge, but people.
No, I think some of it's warranted. He has taken plays off the last few years. He has not been.
He had a bad 2021.
He did the Gannon thing where he's like, I'm not going to chase down screens.
Right.
He said and done some stuff that is not what you want from a football player on your team.
Fair.
But I agree. I think it's gone too far. Well, we were talking about this on the morning show today. The idea that Fletcher Cox is one of the maybe 5 best defensive players in the history of the franchise. He said 5
probably,
10, or certainly in our lifetimes, like Bill Berge, stuff like that,
right.
Benaric, whatever, But in terms of in terms of my lifetime, the last 40 years of Eagles football, he's one of the 5 or 6 best defensive players we've had. But he is like Brandon Graham, who is obviously has the biggest play in the history of the franchise, is way more of an all-time Eagle, quote unquote, than Fletcher Cox is. And Fletcher Cox has had a way better career.
Yeah.
So it is fascinating. There's something about Fletcher in this town where he is not loved the way his career has said he should be.
Right. I agree with that. And look, I think part of it is Brandon's personality and Jason's personality versus Fletcher's personality.
Fletcher's quiet.
Right. He's quiet. He doesn't do media. Yeah. He doesn't do any of that stuff. Right. But in terms of a need, defensive tackle was the biggest need on this roster. And they brought back a player who had a really good year last year. And, I get that the players around him probably propped him up. Well, guess what, though? A lot of those players are back. like the same guys, like Reddick, Graham.
Yeah,
Sweat.
Hargrave's the only one who's not.
Yeah, Hargrave's the only one that's not. And so I think that was a good signing. But, when this offseason started and coming off the Super Bowl, my opinion was I wanted to see turnover on defense because I wanted new blood on the team. And I still believe that. I do, right? But I also, the further away from the season we get, and the more you look at the rest of the conference, I think the incompetency of the rest of the NFC is like forcing the Eagles to go all the way back in.
Well, they should.
Yeah, and they should. But I'm saying
is wide open.
The conference is bad.
Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the conference by miles. Like Dak's second. Dak is the second best quarterback in the NFC. Maybe, if Stafford's healthy. We don't have ever play.
I think Stafford's done. Yeah.
Right. But that's the point. Like those are the names. Derek Carr. Like that's the second, third, fourth best quarterbacks in the NFC. Yeah. I mean, especially with Rodgers likely going to the Jets now, and whether he's good or not, who knows?
Right.
Like Jalen is like
he's not going to be in the Packers.
Far and away the best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah. And the Eagles are far and away the best team. I mean, I will say the Cowboys, like getting Stephon Gilmore was a good move. The Cowboys are good. I mean, as good as Eagles were last year and amazing as the season was, they didn't clinch the division until the last game of the season, right? So the Cowboys will be an obstacle. And it sucks that they're in the division. So you're looking at either probably 1 or 5, right? But ultimately, the Eagles are the best team in the conference. So I understand are they bringing back too many old guys? Graham, Kelsey, Cox. I get all that. But
Graham and Kelsey, like that, everyone wanted them back. Like this.
What I'm saying is though,
it's just Cox.
I think they were all good moves. You needed Kelsey back. I think Graham you got basically for free, and Fletcher they needed. They needed a veteran defensive tackle. If it wasn't going to be Fletcher, it was going to be somebody else. And at least with Fletcher, you know him, right? You know he's played well. I know it's going to be some differences in the defensive system, but the size is going to do a lot of what Gannon did. You're familiar with him in the building. To your point, all-time great player for the franchise. So I think that stuff should matter a little bit.
He matters in the locker room too. Like he is, like forgetting what we feel about him in that locker room. Like he is a player that people look to, and he is, I wouldn't call him a leader per se, but he is he's an important voice. Yeah, he's a presence in that locker room.
But also
captain, all that type of stuff.
One thing I maybe overlooked when I did the whole bring in new blood thing is one benefit of these 3 guys is they have been to the Super Bowl and played the season after. Right? Like they know what next year is going to be like. They know what this offseason looks like. They know the pressure of it. So I think those are important voices to have in the to have in the locker room. So ultimately, when I look on a macro sense of what they've done, I think they've remained the best team in the conference. I think they've filled the holes that were there with, again, think about yesterday or at a certain point, they didn't have Bradbury or Slay. Like I know the timing was a little off, but there was, a chance Bradbury was going to go. And it sounds like Slay for a few days has going to been potentially gone. So they brought back both of their corners. They've, helped the defensive tackle spot. They've re-upped the offensive line with bringing Kelsey back. So I think it's been an awesome offseason so far.
All right, I want to get to the Slay thing in a sec, but with the Cox thing before we move off it, I think when a lot of Eagles fans, and it is strange, I think a lot of Eagles fans are down on Fletcher Cox. I mean, we're in the morning show. Like the vast majority of people were like, I don't want him for $10 million. It feels like an overpay. You and I both agree it's
not an overpay.
If at all, it's a tiny overpay, if anything, $1 million or $2 million, nothing crazy.
Right.
I think the other step that people take in their mind is, oh no, because of that $10 million, we're not going to get CJGJ. What's your response to that?
I'm fine with that. I don't think that's the case, but fine.
Elaborate on that. Like, could they still sign CJGJ?
So they have to restructure Lane. Like they have to.
It's shocking they haven't. Where's all this money coming from?
I have no idea. So it must just be they know that Lane's restructured and they haven't leaked it or whatever. Yet. But ultimately,
it has to be.
There's no way. So ultimately, I almost can't even answer that question because I don't know how much they're opening up with Lane. I would assume it's a lot. We don't know yet the cap hit for Fletcher. It's a 1-year, $10 million deal. Who knows what that really means?
Yeah,
right?
It's a great point.
Maybe 6.5 is guaranteed. Well, who knows? But ultimately, I would say this. I think they can sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson if they want to, just because there's always ways to manipulate the cap. Here's my Chauncey Gardner-Johnson take. And you wanted me to carry the pod. Give me 2 minutes to go off on Chauncey.
Please.
Okay. As a fan, right, I understand wanting Chauncey back completely, right? 12-year-old Elliott would love to have Chauncey back. He wants to wear number 3. It's my favorite number. He's fun to follow on social media. He's an exciting player. He brings important things to the locker room. I get why he's a fan favorite. But Chauncey, at this point of his career, has played safety for 1 year, right? He is according to Pro Football Focus last year, like the 43rd best cover safety in the league, which I will acknowledge is a bit of a flawed stat, but it is a stat. Like, they are tracking it. I think Chauncey is a good player. I do not think Chauncey is a difference maker, in my opinion. I don't think turnovers carry over year to year, right? Like, he put on his Instagram last night that he would have 12 interceptions if he played the whole year. He wasn't going to have 12 interceptions, right? So while I think if they bring Chauncey back, I'm not going to come on the pod and say this is a bad move because money is fake in a certain whatever, right? They're better with Chauncey on their roster. But I think the Chauncey thing has reached a fever pitch where I think people are overrating how good he is right now. And he's young, so I get that. But I'm not giving Chauncey $14 million a year.
I don't think he'll get that.
Yeah. And so when I look at this, I go, the guys that they've signed, I would have also prioritized over Chauncey. I would have brought in, the Slay thing yesterday. I think bringing Slay back is a better move than bringing Chauncey back. I think bringing Bradbury's a better back. And again, it's because if we take a step back and look at how the general manager that we all agree is great builds, he does not prioritize linebacker or safety. He's never prioritized it. He wouldn't pay Malcolm at the end of his career, right? He's never paid a linebacker big money, really. I guess Nigel got a decent deal, but ultimately he's never prioritized those positions. Why? Because the offensive line, the defensive line, the receivers, the corners, and the quarterback. That's how you win, right? The middle of the field matters most in terms of the trenches, and then the outside for the skill position players. So if you want to tell me Chauncey's a versatile player that can play safety and backup nickel, that to me sounds like a $4 or $5 million a year player. I just don't think he's worth all this money. So if they don't sign Chauncey today, and I think they still might, but if they don't, I don't think fans should be like panicked upset outside of the emotional part. And I get that. But from a team building perspective, I don't think losing Chauncey would be a big deal.
Yeah, I think you're underselling him. I agree with your overall point. I think he's overrated by Eagles fans. We talked about it heading him where,
and I understand it.
Any
like,
poll that happened, he was like the runaway winner with Hargrave and Bradbury and him, which was like crazy, especially with Hargrave. It was so clear that, and the market dictated that Hargrave is a more valuable player than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But I do think you underrate him as a player. I think he's a really good player, and he does give them versatility. He's, can play safety, can play nickel, can, cover well for, he's a quarterback. So I get your point in the PFF thing, but I think Chauncey's a good cover safety.
I think he's good. I agree. He's good.
And I think that he does bring stuff to the locker room. And he does bring a fire and stuff that does matter. Like, I don't think it's not important at all. But I think he's overrated from here. I think he's more than a 4 or 5. I think he's more like an $8 or $9 million player. And I think that's probably where he'll end up coming.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where he ends up coming in. I'm surprised he has not signed. Like, I thought the deal was basically done, and obviously it was not. I do wonder if the whole Slay thing yesterday, if Chauncey fell apart, I don't know, like what happened there. But there's also, and this is irrational of me, but I'll say it first. Like, I don't know, man. Part of me is like, I see Slay yesterday, and I know he tweets at other teams too. But his wife is tweeting about how sad they're going to leave Philly. I know Slay was upset about the idea of leaving Philly. Kelsey really wants to be here. Brandon really wants to be here. Fletcher obviously wants to be here. And I understand Chauncey at a different point in his career. But if the Eagles are trying hard to re-sign Chauncey, and I think they're trying. I don't know about
I think there's too much smoke to there are enough people,
credible
people who've said they really like him, they really want him, this and that, where I think you have to
put I agree.
Some weight
for sure.
Yeah.
There's just a little part of me that's like either sign or don't, man. And I get that it's a big life decision. You have to make it quickly, and he should cash in. I get that. But it's just to me an interesting juxtaposition of all these guys are so excited to come back to Philly. Slay is so into it. And Chauncey, is tweeting about being a Bengal.
Yeah, he's 25, though.
Again, I'm saying it's irrational.
Contract. I get your point, but that doesn't bother me.
So for me with the Chauncey thing, again, I think they want him. I think that they are probably like, why has this not happened? But I do think at a certain point, you have to just move on and say, you know what? Like, we'll invest this money elsewhere. Like, I would bring back Isaac Seumalo, or I would consider it.
Which is not going to happen.
Probably not.
I mean, I think enough with
he's not signed yet.
Well, and which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it is, enough people were like, oh, Cam Jurgens are on. It almost felt like the Eagles were like, hey, we're going to move Cam Jurgens to guard everybody.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would prioritize, bring in another edge rusher, bring in another veteran. I would take the money that they have left to spend. If Chauncey is not going to take their offer, I would take that money and put it into positions that we know matter more than safety. So, we're recording this at 10:15 a.m. or whatever on a Thursday. Chauncey might be back. I would just, if by the time you're listening to this, Chauncey has left, I would just say, like I said after the Super Bowl, like, it's going to be okay. You know, the team is still very, very good. They're the best in the conference. Their defense will be good without Chauncey. And that's where I'm at with the Chauncey thing, where I could really kind of like take it or leave it. If he's back, I think it's good for the team because he's a good player. If he's gone, I frankly don't think it matters.
Yeah, we disagree on that. But I would like him back, especially again, like Reed Blankenship's your only safety right now. That's it. That's all you got. You know,
you can draft guys, you can sign veteran guys.
Again, you were going into the season with Kobe Dean and Reed Blankenship. As of now, your only linebacker, and your only
they have
safety.
to add people.
Right. And I'd rather have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson than player X. And I understand it's money and all that, and I'm not saying overpay for him, but I would like Chauncey back.
Yeah, they are better with Chauncey. I agree with that 100%.
All right, I want to get to the roller coaster of Darius Slay yesterday, but download the BetParks Sportsbook Casino app because literally we do this all the time. Like download the app.
Yeah.
If we have ever had a day,
I know,
where it was like above and beyond, download the freaking app and have some fun. It's today. The next 2 days, really the next 4 days, are the best days in sports. And they are the best days to gamble on sports because it's March freaking Madness. And it is so much fun with the BetParks app and these games, especially because we talked about it yesterday. Like your bracket, you're not going to win your bracket. You're not going to win it.
Right.
Sorry. And you got all this hope in your bracket. Guess what?
Unless you're in like a 5-person league.
Exactly.
Which is like,
but you know what you could win? Bet on this team tomorrow. You know what you can win? Bet futures. You know what you can win? I like this team -2. You can win every day.
Right. Well, and also
you're gonna be watching the games anyway.
So the tournament starts at 12. Yeah. So you're probably listening to this and it's already started. Here what I would say to you. This is what you get for ignoring us for months. Like, sorry, if you're listening, you're like, man, I wish I had the BetParks app so I could be playing along with everybody else. Well, guess what? You should have listened weeks ago. So you know how you can rectify it for the next time there's a great betting event?
It's a great point.
Download it now.
He gets it. You should
also, real quick, I gave on the last like BetParks thing to bet Embiid plus 550 at
straight
MVP.
Winners.
He's gonna be
the favorite. Now.
He's gonna be minus.
I got him at close 7.
Yeah, I think he was like plus
I got him at plus
still.
680 when I got him. I'm ecstatic about it.
Yeah, he's gonna win it.
I bet 10 to win 70 essentially. I'm like, that's amazing.
Free money.
And to the point about the basketball action happening the next few days, as I always say, like we're watching the games anyway. It's so much more fun to have some action on it and to really care. Here's the deal. Listen to this. New users bet $10 and get $125 in sports bonus. If your first bet is a winner, that is an amazing deal. Download the app now. Make a BetParks future wager, current BetParks odds, bets on what college team is going to win it all in the championship on April 3rd, and so much more. Again, new users bet 10 and get $125 in sports bonus back if your first bet is a winner. Check website for terms and conditions at betparks.com. Download the app now. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Coming up later, we'll give you our picks for the tournament.
Well, by we, you mean I'm going to copy whatever picks
I will be giving you my picks.
Yeah.
I have been researching. I have been locked in. I've been watching highlights.
Wow.
I haven't. That's fine.
Okay,
I did watch 2 full days of college basketball though heading into the weekend. This past weekend.
I'm gonna get special food for the games today. That's my big one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm actually gonna sleep for the first part of it, but then I'll be good to go.
Hope your bet still hit.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna wake up
out
for
on some live bets. Just throwing that out there.
That's true. Live bet. Yeah. That's a great time. All right, we'll get to that coming up in a few. The Slay thing. Yeah. The roller coaster. The he's gone. Now he's tweeting right and left. This and that. Your thoughts?
So yesterday, Wednesday, was the Birds Town Hall at McGurk's for WIP. Shout out. We had a few auto downloader real ones there. This one guy, it's the truest thing that all the auto downloader real ones are just such nice people. And they were all really nice yesterday. This one guy comes up yesterday, got like the flyest pea coat on I've ever seen. I literally last night was thinking I should have asked him where he got it. So if you're listening, DM me and let me know where you got it. But so yesterday, the whole Slay roller coaster, I was on from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I feel like I spent 12 hours convincing people that Darius Slay is a good football player. Everyone's like, well, he's not worth the money. He was bad the second half of the year. Cornerbacks don't matter. They're irreplaceable. And then he's
replaceable, you mean?
Yeah, they're replaceable, right?
Yeah.
And then
like that wouldn't make much sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he signs last night, and it's like, how he's cooking, Slay's back, all in. And it's such a classic fan experience.
Yeah.
When
you want to neg him.
Exactly, yeah. When it's gone, it's like, oh, he's not that good. And when he's back, it's like, all right, we love him again, right? Here's the reality about Slay. He's a critical piece of this team. He's 32. Could he take a step back next year? Sure. So could Kelsey, so could Graham, so could Cox. The reality of signing older players. But the other reality of signing good players is they're good. Like Darius Slay was, according to Pro Football Focus, I think 9th in the league last year in coverage. He's an important part. I think that there's also a big difference between being number 2 corner and number 1. And I know Slay doesn't follow every week, and Bradbury takes his snaps against number 1 receivers. But mentally, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I know now with Slay that I can say, hey, we're playing whoever this week. Slay, go follow him if you need to. And it's just such a mental part of it. It's funny. I was thinking about this with Jalen Mills, actually. Jalen Mills physically, and I've always a Mills guy, but he got more out of his career than probably his skill set indicated, right? And why did he get that? Because of the finger wagging, because of the confidence, right? Like, you have to be a certain type of person to be a cornerback number 1, which Mills was for this team for a few years. Slay's that guy. Like, Slay is that dude, right? So ultimately, with the contract thing, is he worth $17 million in base salary this year? We can debate that. I don't think he's worth like 10. I think he's worth more than that. And so ultimately, they cut him, they bring him back. The numbers aren't out on it yet, but I think they're a better team with Slay on it because I think it's in a really important position. I think cornerback is really important, and especially number 1 corner. Had he left, could they have drafted somebody at 10 that maybe ended up being as good? Maybe, but that's a big risk.
Well, they might still draft someone.
They could, and they're better off. I think they're probably going to go
I think they'll go D-line too, but by the way, this is something I
got some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I don't rule out, maybe not at 10, but they're going to take an offensive lineman high again.
Oh, wow, that's not what I was expecting.
Like, think about this. I mean, Mailata, you got, but like Lane, they're going to restructure him and stuff, but Lane's what, like 35, 36? Andre Dillard gone, like maybe not in the first round, but I think with one of those, what do they have, 3 picks in the first 2 rounds? I think the second round pick, I think it's a tackle.
I'm fine with that. Ultimately, I mean, it is funny. This will be like the 3rd year in a row they take
it's what they do.
An offensive lineman. Yeah, and I'm fine with it. But I thought you were going to go Jalen Carter at 10.
Well, I mean, I would get him in a second. I just don't know if he'll be there. So I don't know how it's all going to play out, and obviously all the off the field stuff, and then he was completely out of shape for his thing and all that.
Yeah, so here would be my Jalen Carter take quickly.
I mean, I would draft him. Is my take.
I would. But I also think we need to recognize, like,
it's a serious thing.
Guys fall for a reason.
Yeah.
And if he falls to 10, it's not, it is he had a bad pro day. It is teams have off field. Like, just throwing that out there. I'm not saying I wouldn't draft him.
No, look, it goes both ways, though. I mean, like, we've seen.
And guys could be wrong.
Well, they were. I mean, Warren Sapp fell.
Yeah.
That was wrong. Randy Moss fell. That was wrong. Like,
agreed.
That stuff happens.
1,000%, right? I would just say when we do the Jalen Carter pod about I do think there's some validity to why he. I
understand.
Fallen.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
So anyway, with Slay, and what I really like about the Slay thing, to be honest, and I know it can be lip service sometimes, but I thought his wife tweeting about how bad they wanted to be back,
sweet,
and her tweeting like, "I'm sitting here in disbelief, I'm crying." I do think that was a look into how he really feels too.
I agree with you.
And when we talk about the Kelsey leadership and the Graham leadership, Slay is right there. I mean, I'm in that locker room. Like, Slay is talkative. He's bringing gifts in for people. His wife makes banana pudding for the whole team every Friday. Like, he's an important part of that locker room. But that aside, he's still very, very good. I think it's unfair for people to say he had a bad second half of the year in the way that let's go through every defender in the second.
Well, he also, when you say a bad second half of the year, I think he had an elite first half of the year,
right.
And maybe just we were talking about him through 8 games being Defensive Player of the Year candidate, if you remember.
Yeah.
So he might not have been that bad in the second half. It was just he wasn't super.
Well, and also if you look at the second half of the year, because a lot of the stats I saw, and I will shout out our good friend Brandon Lee Gowan had a tweet yesterday, and it was like weeks 1 through whatever, and then whatever through the Super Bowl. Well, I would guess that all the secondary guys weren't as good the second half of the year statistically because they played their 2 worst defensive games, Dallas and Kansas City. Now, Slay holds responsibility. He was on the field. But, the Chauncey that everybody wants back so bad, he was on the field. Mm-hmm. James Bradbury was on the field. Like, all these guys were, right? So, ultimately, I don't view the second half of last year as a red flag for me personally. Could I end up being wrong? Maybe. I think that bringing Slay back, they're a better team. And I'll to bring back what I said at the beginning, the incompetency of the NFC makes it important to have good players in the Eagles next year because they can end up just being more talented than everybody else again. And they're more talented with Slay. Like, it's easy to dismiss the idea of Slay not being here until next year in week whatever they're playing some team and like they can't get, the secondary is bad. Like, Slay was the number 1 corner on the number 1 pass defense for the first time in 31 years. The team has done that. right? So let's not overlook how good he was last year. And so I'm good with it. Like, look, in 2 years, he's probably not going to be here. Maybe he's not even here in 2024. But ultimately, I think it was a smart move to bring him back. I think it was a smart move to prioritize bringing him back in terms of allocating the money that way. So the roller coaster of it all, I think they cut him, right? Obviously, or they were going to. I have a friend that made a good point. Do you think they leaked the cut to try to see what teams would really offer him? And then once Slay saw the other offers, was like,
possibly.
Like, because you think about
that'd be smart.
When Rosenhaus is like shopping Slay around before the teams are probably like, well, you're going to cut him anyway.
Right.
But once it's like, we're going to cut him, then teams call and go, oh, okay, like you're going to be cut. Like,
Yeah.
So I think maybe that
really
was part of it.
Point.
Yeah. So I think it worked out great for the team because they have Slay. And they now come back next year with Bradbury, Slay, and Maddox, who, we can debate cornerback duos, but in terms of trios, I can't imagine there is a team currently right now with a better CB1, CB2, and nickel than the Eagles.
Yeah, I'd have to go through. I mean, Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey alone in Miami probably may. I don't know their nickel is, but like it might not matter.
But I think Slay and Bradbury are there with them.
Like if they're really 10, good, but like they're
if they're 10, they're like a 9.
I mean, they're potentially the 2 best corners in football, or at least 2 of the 3 or 4 best corners in football. But I get your point. I think the Eagles are high on that list.
For what it's worth, and I know now they're on different teams, but the Eagles, according to Pro Football Focus last year, for this year's roster, are the only team in the NFL, that had 2 guys in the top 10 last year. Like Ramsey and Howard were not both in the top 10 last year. I'd have to double check, but I'm 95% sure.
Look, the point is, we'd have to go around to every team in the league. Like I think they're up there. I think they're one of the 2 or 3 best trios. And again, look, I do, and I'm really happy Slay's back. I didn't want them to cut him. I didn't want to lose him. Like I wanted him back. But like he is 32, he's going to be 33 soon. Like
there's flaws.
Yeah, there are flaws. And is it possible that the second half of the season was the beginning of a drop off? Of course it is. Yeah. It's absolutely possible. But I'm with you. I think Darius Slay is still a really good football player. And again, I think your point about this season and taking advantage of a weak conference when you still have a great roster and you have the best quarterback at the conference is a no brainer.
Yeah.
So all right, the Rashad Penny thing. We have not talked on this pod about Rashad Penny. It happened after we did the last pod. Your thoughts?
So here's my Rashad Penny thoughts. I think the market told you exactly how good he is. He got $600,000 guaranteed. And there's been debate since then about who's better, Miles or Penny. For what it's worth, Miles got $14 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a crazy contract.
It is, but I'm just saying.
Look, the market said that Miles is better, but Rashad Penny is not staying on the field. I think play for play, I think if both guys are healthy, like there is an argument that Rashad Penny is more talented. He was drafted in the first round, not the second. Like he is a super talented guy. I do think there is an argument that he is more talented than Miles, but Miles has stayed on the field and Miles has played.
Like Miles is a better player when you consider.
Miles had a better career.
Yeah, 100%. I think Penny is good. I mean, you look at the stats, and obviously, like he has, the yards after contact, the yards per carry. You look at his highlights, and you can just see it. You don't even look at the stats. Like you look at some of the runs he had in Seattle, and he's got power with also like lightning quick speed, right? I think Miles didn't have a great breakaway speed. Penny is like once it takes him maybe 2 or 3 yards, but once he's going, like he's gone, right? So I think that the upside is there, and $600,000 guaranteed, like that's like nothing.
Well,
right?
Think about this. All 4 of the Eagles running backs, so Gainwell, Penny, Boston Scott, and Trey Sermon, all 4 combined will make less than Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
No, I would rather have Miles. But
look, in a vacuum for the exact same price, I would take Miles over Rashad Penny, but I would way rather have Rashad Penny at $600,000 guaranteed than Miles at the number you got.
Yeah.
Like it's not even close
to
it.
So this isn't
like a light year. I'd rather Boston Scott at $2 million than Miles Sanders at what he's at.
So this is not going to be a popular statement, but to me, the Rashad Penny conversation sounds a lot like when the Eagles got Bradford in 15, and it was this guy's really talented if he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy. I don't know. I mean, different positions, but in terms
also
of
that guy's a quarterback making $20, $30
right. But I'm saying
this is a flyer.
No. I agree that the investment in the position are different.
That's the heart of everything we're talking about.
No, but we're also talking about this. This guy could end up potentially being the running back 1, right? And as good as the team was passing the ball last year, and they were very good at it, and obviously, I'm team pass the ball, it still just feels, I'm curious if you agree, like the heart of this team, the backbone of it is the running game.
Yeah, but I think the running game works as long as Jalen's here. Like, I think Jalen made Miles better. I think this offensive line made Miles better. Like, I think Miles is fine. I think he's probably the, like, I don't know, 15th best running back in football, 17th best like, I think he's middle of the pack. I think Rashad Penny is below that, but I think Rashad Penny's ceiling is higher than Miles Sanders is. And when you're talking about paying 1/8 or 1/7 this season, what you'll be paying Miles Sanders, like, it's a no. Like, I am ecstatic with Rashad Penny at that price over Miles Sanders.
So I wouldn't have given Miles that money.
It's insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. 14 million over 4 years. But like,
well, I mean, it's 25 million, 14 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I would not have given him that money. My only concern with Penny is, and you're right, if Penny can stay healthy, he's a very good player. He is, like, he's shown that. But he is also not stayed healthy.
There's no question.
So ultimately, for a team that knows they have to run the ball, and you're right, if he can stay healthy, again, we're going to say it 800,000 times because he's never stayed healthy. If he can stay healthy, he can be really good. He's explosive, like all those
behind a trash.
Yes, now he's going to be in the best running system a running back can be.
They're going to rotate guys like that. We know what they want to do. Like, they're going to move. They're going to play Gainwell. They're going to play Boston Scott. They're going to play Trey Sermon. Like, whoever steps up is going to get the ball. Like, they're going to play those guys.
They have to make another move.
I don't think so. I think fine with these four.
I cannot go into next year with these four because as good as Penny is, the history has shown, and it's tough to predict if guys will get hurt. If Penny is your running back, you have to ask yourself, are you okay playing a crucially important game or like the rest of the season with Gainwell, Scott, and Trey Sermon?
I thought that's what it was going to be anyway.
Yeah, but see, that's where we differ. I'm not okay with that. Like, I need a different.
I'm not ideal with it.
I need a better running back.
I like Rashad Penny a lot more.
No, I like Penny. I'm just saying he gets hurt all the time.
Right, but that's when he's been asked to be a bell cow running back. Like, he's gonna be, you know, taking less carries. He's gonna be behind a way better offensive line. The Eagles have done an amazing job the last few years of keeping guys healthy.
Yeah, I agree with
that player poll, the NFLPA thing, where they ranked all the teams on all the stuff, like in all the stuff that would relate to this type of thing, whether it was training staff, strength and conditioning, like all that type of stuff. Like, the Eagles were A+ in all of those.
Yeah.
Like, you trust your infrastructure.
I like the sign
to get the most out of Rashad. I love it. Comparatively, again, I think Miles got insanely overpaid. And even if we're just not Miles Sanders, like, I'm not paying a running back that unless
remove Miles from
it, right?
I think if they made this signing in week 3 of free agency, I would be like, wow, $600,000. You bring him in. If he stays healthy, it's a home run hit. If he's hurt, who cares? But, you know, like, you didn't invest a ton of money, right? I need another running back, whether it's a veteran they bring in.
So you want Trey Sermon on the roster then?
Well, it's tough because
I'm going to keep 5 running.
No, I agree. Right. Well,
so Gainwell and Boston Scott are locks to make the roster, and I would think Rashad Penny and Veldy are locked to make the roster. So you only need one more running back.
Yeah, I'm okay if Trey
Trey Sermon was a 3rd round pick.
I like Trey Sermon.
Right. So why not? The point is, the Eagles, like I said before, are paying all 4 guys less than Miles Sanders is making. Like, that's clearly a choice at the running back position to pay not a lot of money and get the most out of guys. And that's smart. We always say that's smart.
I would consider a running back at 30. I would consider running back at whatever their second pick. Is it 53 this year? Probably not. That was whatever it is.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm thinking of that. Again, I think Penny is a really good player when he's healthy. And I think in this system and with this health staff, he could be really good and end up being one of the best bargain signings of free agency. You are correct about all that. I just know that with how important it is for this team to run the ball, I am not okay going into the season with their current collection of running backs. As much as I like Sermon, he's completely unproven.
He is unproven.
Gainwell also, to a certain extent, has shown flashes, but has never been like a crucial, important part of the offense. Boston Scott is a great player for what Boston Scott is. I think for a game or two, he could be good enough, right? I need somebody that I have more confidence in, especially when I think they're going to win with offense. So my concern is Penny has an outstanding training camp. We're all like, wow, look at this guy. And then week 2, God forbid, he tears his ACL or does whatever, and he's gone. And then you're sitting there, and it's like Trey Sermon, who has maybe 10 carries in the NFL. And I get that any running back will be better, but that doesn't mean you can't add special players there. Like, I would
but they're not going to pay money for it is the problem. What special player?
Like, I would trade for Austin Eckler. But I know that's
they're not going to do that.
I know they're not, but I'm just saying.
Eckler wants a contract. Like, I would love to have Austin Eckler here, but the reason he's going to get traded is because he wants a new contract. Like, you wouldn't give him a new contract, would you?
I would, but
you give him like 10 to 15 million a year.
So you know what's funny? What's funny is when I first saw the news, I was like, oh, no way, they're not going to pay him. But if you look at running back money, and especially like the top guys in the league, which Eckler is, like,
well, yeah, the franchise tag is only like 10 million for running backs. They're not.
I think
that
it was
high.
like 13.
Was it that high?
I think so.
Way,
I think I've seen it with
your
Saquon
point, there are
a lot.
not that many guys who make double digit.
Yeah, like I think you could get Austin Eckler for $9 million a year.
No, you could.
He's about to be 28.
Yeah, but he's literally was the best running back in football.
I agree, but if you look at comparable contracts, Aaron Jones, who's not as good as Austin Eckler, but is very good, right? He got, I think, $15 million guaranteed on maybe a 3 or 4 year deal, right?
That was a bad contract by Aaron
Jones. It was, I agree, but I'm saying he's also, I think, a year and a half younger. So you were right that you're going to have to pay Eckler, but I would, again, it's not going to be a surprise. I would give Eckler the money that I would give Chauncey in terms of $8 or $9 million.
Yeah. All right. I would rather have Chauncey. I get your point, but I would rather have Chauncey. And again, I'm pretty stoked with the way they're building the running back room. I get your point, but I am look. You got to pinch penny somewhere. You
were right.
Guys.
You were right about this.
I get it. You would rather they have a better running back.
Yeah, and I think I probably just get more nervous. Than you do in terms of it's week 3 and we're talking about they have no running back.
I know.
Yeah. It's why I would bring back Sayamali when they have Jurgens. Like the positions, and not the running back, but offense in certain positions, I am always going to be okay just like stacking bodies. And frankly, that's what Howie has like taught us from covering the team, right? Like if you look at it, they're always deep on the lines and it always ends up helping them out. So I would bring in another running back. And I like Penny. I don't want to be painted as an anti-Penny guy.
He ain't Penny. I get it.
I mean, he's Sam Bradford.
But you called him Sam Bradford. Wow.
I mean, it's the reality of what his career has been. Yeah. I just remember, again, with Bradford, it was an offseason, and people didn't like Bradford as much because the money position and all that. But it was a whole offseason of if he stays healthy. I can't remember the last time we talked about a player if, and it happens.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's get to the tournament. Let's do a little gambling here. It is the Bet Parks picks pod.
You can answer in one word. Do you think they signed Chauncey? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
You?
I think yes too.
Yeah. I think they're gonna figure it out.
I do too.
You seem so excited.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
All right, let's get to the tournament. Obviously experts here when it comes to tournament betting. Elliot has just been all over this. The last month studying college basketball.
I like betting college basketball. I do not enjoy watching college basketball.
Really? I love college basketball.
I just don't. I mean, the players are not very good.
So I like Alabama a lot. Number 1 seed. Very good this year. Got a dude named Brandon Miller who's very good. I like Texas. I'm in on Texas this year as a 2 seed. Yeah, I like Texas. I watched them.
Any reason why?
I watched them in the Big Ten tournament. They were great. They won the tournament.
What's your Houston thought?
I'm not in on Houston. I know everyone else is. They're the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
I like Alabama better, and I like Texas better. Texas in their bracket. I have Texas beating Houston.
You do? Okay. So
I filled out
a bracket because we're doing the bracket.
Yep.
And I can't remember who I had winning. I feel like maybe Kansas.
I think you might have Kansas too.
Yeah.
And Kansas is a good choice. Kansas is a good team.
Here's how I felt.
Grady Dick, one of the best freshmen in the country.
What a name.
I know. Strong name.
I filled my bracket out basically with this logic. What schools do I believe have been good at college basketball?
It's a great way of going about it.
And I just don't think Houston checks that box. Like Alabama doesn't either.
They've been good the last few years. She's in Kelvin Sampson.
Right
there, but
Alabama, in like the highlights I've seen, seems like they have good guard play.
They look awesome.
Yeah.
Alabama. It seems like Brandon Miller he's going to be a top 3 pick.
Right. I know he's got the whole
whole
problematic thing happening.
What's going on with these players?
Yeah.
And Miller, Carter, all stuff going on.
But yeah, so all right, so you like Texas.
I like UConn as a 4 seed. If you're looking for a lower seed to make a run, I like UConn quite a bit. This is obviously all expert opinion and stuff.
Well, and even though the tournament will start by the time you hear this, you could still bet long odds.
Well, not necessarily. This will be up before.
No, you'll have time, but I'm saying.
No. I'm saying not necessarily. People could listen to this before the tournament if they listen right away.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
I mean, look, how many people are? 26 people are listening right now, getting these these gems.
But also,
live.
I'm saying
you're welcome.
You could bet futures too.
So yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I like the Texas.
Unless of course they're
1,300 to win it all.
Plus what?
Plus 1,300 to win it all. Texas.
I like that.
I like it. I got it at plus 1,900 when the tournament
first
started. Now it's down to plus 1,300. So no big
yet.
deal
You mean
for this guy.
When the bracket first came out?
They put it out and then it's bet.
Oh yeah, okay. So they dropped 600.
They dropped 600.
Okay.
All right. the most important part of this, let's tell you the gamble thing. So we do again, you're not going to win your bracket. Bet on games. We do a bracket because everyone does brackets.
Yes.
Even though I know I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
But here's what we did because we know we're going to lose. So we do a bracket where you can put 3 entries in. It's like,
Who's
me and Emily. We do it every
Okay.
year the same as my buddy's bracket. It's,
Okay.
it's like, you can do 3 for the, cheap, the last one's at half price. So what we do each year, and Emily has beat me like 10 years in a row, is I fill out a bracket, she fills out a bracket, and then we do it together. Right.
Okay.
And her bracket has beaten mine like literally 8 out of the last 9
years.
It's like a joke. We just decided because of how ridiculous this all is, right? We had Zoe pick the 3rd bracket this year.
Nice.
Zoe has Marquette winning the tournament.
Marquette?
Yeah. She thought it was Mercat.
Nice.
And she's like, ooh, Mercat.
Like
is that like a mermaid cat?
I don't.
Them. So we literally went through it every game. We'd be like, all right, like Michigan State versus USC. And she go, USC. Like, all right, USC it is.
I will say.
She's got some weird picks in there. But if Marquette wins the tournament, I'm winning it all. So
if you had to like name 5 random schools that could win it, I think Marquette would be one of them.
Yeah.
I know nothing about him.
It's not crazy.
I've heard about him a bunch.
Shaka Smart, great coach.
It seems like he's been good. I saw a picture of him celebrating on Twitter, so seems like they're doing well.
I'm happy you're here for this. I'm happy you're here.
Yeah. I mean, again, the funnest part is just putting the parlay together and seeing.
The funnest part, yes, is getting the bet parks. Should we look up a quick parlay for today? That's a great
build
idea.
a live one.
Yeah, let's build a live one. We're gonna build.
I'm
pulling it up right now.
Okay.
We are gonna build a live bet parks parlay. So I got the app open right there. You can see it on the old video YouTube. If you're not watching us on YouTube, by the way, I mean,
you want to build it along with us? That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. Okay. All right, here we go.
Hold on, I have to get it up. All right, here we go.
All right.
So all right, are you looking at like the homepage Furman, Virginia?
I'm looking at all this. All right. So what do we feel strongly about today?
All right, I like Virginia -6.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm a big Furman guy, man.
I mean, come on, their name is Furman.
Big Furman guy.
Okay.
Big Furman guy. No, I'm kidding. But I don't.
So we'll skip that one.
Honestly, it's more that I don't love Virginia.
What about West Virginia, Maryland?
I don't care about that game.
I like Maryland.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
Money line. We need at least, a
money
little,
lines.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so we're going Maryland because Elliot likes them.
Duke -6 is kind of tempting.
I like Charleston +3. You're Charleston.
Kristen
guy?
went to Charleston. So
did she really?
Yeah.
Boom. All right, so that's it through the money line. I mean, just those two alone are +544.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, I have to get to the page. That's not the.
Should we do like a bigger money line? Duke. Why don't we do the Duke money line? So look at this. That's +769.
Wait, did you do Charleston +180?
I did Charleston +180. I did Maryland +130, and I did Duke -286. Just do the money line. Don't mess around with the points. It's
well,
+769.
Do we want to add another
$77 essentially?
Do you want to add another early morning game though? Like I'll just go Furman, Virginia. You said you kind of like Furman, but I'm okay not betting that. Utah State, Missouri.
If you want to.
Well, no, I'm like Howard.
769 is pretty good odds.
I agree.
I think this is our parlay.
Wow. So
I don't feel strongly about anything else. Not that I felt super strongly.
So I had in my like bracket thing already, or in my like ticket, the Eagles to win the Super Bowl and Jalen win MVP. And if you combine those 3 games with those 2, it's like +12,000.
There you go.
So I don't know. Be a fun way. Yeah. So yeah, +6, 7.
I like this. All right, that is our official Bet Parks parlay. Maryland money line, Charleston money line, Duke money line. And have some fun with the tourney. We are again not on Saturday. Phillies baseball tournament.
Well, tournament, I think, right?
Everyone's at
April 1st.
April 1st. Not a fool.
Not a joke.
Not a joke. We will be there April 1st.
Although it'd be funny if we ended up not being on.
Would be. Hilarious.
But it's not a joke currently. We're supposed to be
on. Be back if Jalen Hurts signs a contract, obviously, or if there's any other big news going on. Is obviously free agency still open. And then, of course, pod next week, all that good stuff.
I have one actually 5-second thought. Sure. I do wonder if Hurts is taking less money. Like if they bring back CJ Bradbury,
so you talked about that today. It's like, I don't know how you kind of think he does it in any other way.
I mean, they could structure it.
And if nothing else, I think the point that you made prior to free agency is that they have the structure of the contract and they waited to kind of see exactly what that first year numbers.
Yeah.
I think it's the right move. Smart.
I agree.
All right. Final thoughts, my friend. You got your notes now.
I know. Where did I write these down?
I'll let you look. I'll give mine because I mentioned it last pod. I never got to it. I really like that the Eagles hired a nickel coach.
Oh yeah, you were saying that.
So first of all, it seems like this dude is super liked. Like, the amount of people on Twitter just being like, you don't understand, this guy's an amazing coach, all that stuff. But I just like the Eagles are thinking outside the box. Like, no one has a nickel coach. Like, why not? It's just another way to bring a smart guy into the building and have him help with other stuff. I'm sure the nickel coach is going to help with the other cornerbacks and stuff like that. It's not like he's just going to be a nickel coach.
Yeah.
I just think it's creative. It's different. I appreciate them. I appreciate when teams look at the way things are always done. This is just how we do it. And say, why not do that?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. So, I mean, I don't know. Again, all I know is what people said about him online, which seemed positive. I don't really know anything about this nickel coach. I like the idea that the Eagles were like, let's go hire a nickel.
We also, I don't think ever comment on the fact they hired DJ Elliott.
Yeah. Elliott's just
what a name.
Temple.
Spells it
it's
the
like
right way.
Temple.
Literally a DJ Elliott from Temple.
Yeah, it's
like me on the aux court.
Yeah.
All right, here's my thought. Ready?
Yes.
So I wrote this a week ago, but it's topical with the fact that yesterday was Jack Fritz's birthday.
Oh, really? Yes.
Do you think there's a song in the world that a higher percentage of people know the lyrics than Happy Birthday?
No.
I think it has to be, right?
It's a great point.
There can't be a single, and I know obviously it translates to different language, but the words are essentially the same, right? So I mean the alphabet, but
usually when you do these things, I'm like, that's dumb and you're wrong. I totally agree with you.
I can't think of one.
It's got to be Happy Birthday.
Like maybe a hymn that I'm not thinking of, but even then,
there people are
right. There's people that are religious, so like
like the ABC song, sure, but then like it's like, do they really all do the I know
right? Exactly,
ABCs next time.
And also, I mean, well, I don't want to say. I'm gonna make something.
So like there are ones, but I agree with you because like the ones that would come to mind is like "Married a Little Lamb," like those type of songs, like wherever. Like you all know.
But do those transcend like
that's
outside
my point,
the country?
Though. I think they do, but even still, I think the point is that even with that, Happy Birthday would have to be about that.
I mean, think about it.
It's great.
It might be the only song in your life you hear at least once a year. And you hear it more because other people's birthdays, but you specifically hear it once a year.
That's a really good point.
And you learn it from it's probably one of the first songs you learn to sing.
This is
it's the highest percentage song in the world.
See, this is what you've started notes thing, and then all of a sudden, boom.
There we go.
Your final thoughts, much better.
Just like that.
Proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll be back.
Enjoy the tournament.
Sounds like not today.
No, not today. Enjoy the tournament. Bet on the tournament with the BetParks app, and until then, he's on him. I love the booms at the end.
All right. Thank you,
everybody. Guys.
Justin in there as always. Philly's finest. Scott, Steven,
Scott,
Justin,
hey buddy.
I gotta find the real ones. You know what's funny?
Justin,
we do a Go Birds thing.
Justin's called the morning show a few times. My guy.
If we do a Go Birds event, we should ask Slay's wife to make banana pudding.
That's a great idea.
All right, guys, we're out of here.
Thank you.
Who knows? We'll be back soon.
Won't be that long. Whatever it is, it'll be a pretty reasonable amount of time.